First things first, I had some stuff burned off my face, so that's what the marks are. I'm gonna do some painting this morning. I've only got about 2 hours. Kind of an impromptu session here. I'm gonna see what I can do. So, heading down to the water to look for a spot to paint. All right, the color of the water down here in this area is so beautiful. It's like a lot of, you know, blue greens, kind of like phthalo colors and maybe viridian. I was hoping to capture some of that color, but today is overcast, and so most colors are muted, but I'm just gonna look around and see what I can find. All right, so out there appears to be some of that blue-green around the rocks, and then also over here, so maybe we'll walk over and take a closer look. So sometimes on a day like this where the weather is, you know, overcast, and there's not a lot of strong light and shadow to work with, I try to find something that kind of piques my interest, and in this case it's the color of the water, and so then I'll really kind of try to build a painting around that thing that interests me the most. And but honestly, I don't know if I can actually get out to where that blue-green water is. Yeah, it's out there. There doesn't seem to be any way for me to get out there, unfortunately. All right, so time for plan B. Okay, so I am all loaded up, and I've got two different panels. I've got an 11 by 22 inch panorama and a 16 by 20 inch panel, so because I'm not sure how I'm going to compose this. All right, so I'm thinking something like this, where I incorporate the rocks here, but also I'll get some of the water, this more calm water in the foreground, and also I'll incorporate a larger wave in the distance. Okay, so there's another challenge I've got here, and that is there's really no place to set up that's flat. This is kind of the ideal place to get this view. So obviously it's pretty tiring to paint on uneven surfaces, but I'm gonna be working quickly, so I'm gonna give it a go. Freaking blew over the whole thing. This is a perfect example of one of the challenges of plein air painting. So I got all set up, and when I was setting up, the wind was very gentle. And a huge gust came. It's actually, the wind is picking up quite a bit now, and just blew over my entire setup. I don't know if I have enough. I think I might. I brought some spare. All right, let's see. Okay, that'll work. So I always keep spare mineral spirits in a bottle. It's funny too, because before I left I thought, oh, should I bring a big bottle? And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna go through much. But anyway, thankfully I have this. And to be honest with you, I'm not actually that bummed out. Stuff happens and you just gotta kind of make do. Let's look and see how my colors did. Actually, not bad. Maybe this is a chance to tell you what colors I'm going to use today. I've got my typical color palette here. I won't go into all the other colors. I mean, I have these on my Patreon. There's a PDF on my Patreon with all my colors, link in description. But the ones I'm focusing on today, I want to experiment with phthalo green, viridian, these two colors, because there's a lot of blue greens in the water. I'll probably be using a lot of burnt sienna, and also ultramarine, and of course alizarin crimson, and then these yellows. Well, here we are, we're going through the whole palette. Cadmium yellow lemon. Also there's some dioxazine purple here. There is some cadmium red light, yellow ochre, cad yellow medium. All right, so I'm going to try to set up in such a way that the panel is kind of slicing through the wind, and we'll see what happens, because the wind is definitely picking up, but I'm not going to quit. So here we go. All right, so now I'm set up, and I'm kind of tucked into the rocks a little bit. I'm gonna have to sit on this rock, and I have set up the panel so that it's directly in line with the wind, so the wind will be passing and not pushing against the panel in either way. So I like the arrangement of the rocks, and I'm going to use the white water compositionally, but I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with that. I have a feeling I want it to kind of go out like this and then zigzag maybe somehow, but just gonna kind of continue playing around. I think I'm gonna leave it here. There's something I want to point out. I'm kind of doing touch-ups and I'm walking back. Like, see this little spot here, this bright spot? I'm gonna eliminate that because I like that there's no high contrast down below. I want the focus to be up in this area. So I'm keeping the rocks really subtle and the water as well. Yeah, so this little light spot here kind of pops out too much. All right, so I fixed this little spot here. This stroke here is a little awkward. I'm gonna break that up a little bit. And then add some Viridian in here. Okay, so I think I'm gonna stop here. I don't wanna overwork it. I wanna keep it loose and fresh, and maybe I'll do touch-ups at home. As for the phthalo green, I actually wiped it off, and I mostly used Viridian for these sort of blue greens here. I usually have phthalo blue on my palette too, right next to my ultramarine, but I was in such a rush, I did not put it out. I forgot to. So this was definitely a rough day. Overall, I'm happy with the results, but yeah, it was difficult. Just, you know, setting up on the rocks and then obviously having my easel fall over. You know, you can get discouraged out here sometimes, but the key is to just keep going. And ultimately, I'm happy with the painting, so I'm glad I stuck it out. As usual, thanks for hanging out, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.